Yeah, but the way that I believe it's gonna work out, I do believe that's going to be very strong demand for XRP, and primarily because there's so much there as far as financial services rails. I really see XRP as the leader in more traditional financial services rails on the
Right.
block. And someone coming from that industry, I understand it probably a little bit better. Uh, there's a lot of naysayers out there, the real pure blockchain people are like, well, it's got to be 100% decentralized.
Hmm.
Um, I'm actually not in that camp. I believe that some should be fully decentralized. I love the fact that Bitcoin is. I think that centralization actually works for certain industries.
Interesting.
For instance, if you're, look, if you have a bank account, and I'm just gonna, say it's a Chase, right?
Mm.
And you put money in your bank account, and then you forget your password,
Right.
and you call the banker. There's a reason why it's centralized, because they can change your password and give it to you, and then you can access your statements again. Now, from a pure libertarian, decentralized standpoint, people might hate that, but I like the fact that I'm not going to lose my money because I forgot my password at my Chase account, right? And Ripple has really been building things to support that financial systems framework,
Sure.
and the centralization is a good thing. So, even when it comes to things like tokenization of securities, do you want that to be fully decentralized? I don't, because what happens if you accidentally, you know uh, sell your tokenized security to someone in North Korea? Now
Yeah.
you've committed a financial crime. You want there's to be a certain amount of decentralization so that there can be, stoppages, right? I mean, there are laws in place, and we have to, obey those laws. So a more centralized framework for a blockchain actually makes a lot of sense. I think in the long run, we will move to a much more of a decentralized world, and there will be a blending. And I like the fact that there are existing today certain networks that
Yeah.
are fully decentralized.
Hmm.
That's fantastic. And that there are certain ones that aren't. In the US, it's hard for us to really understand how it works in the rest of the world, because not every country has unlimited access to a banking
Exactly.
system, unlimited access to debt.
Yeah.
And so in various jurisdictions in various other countries, certain blockchains work better.
Yeah.
I
No
mean,
doubt.
it's just the fact, right? And then in countries like the US or the UK or Japan, South Korea, where it has very well established financial systems, then you've got to follow those rules. Those rules will probably change, as they just did over the last 6 months.
You've had a chance to see traditional Wall Street, and you look at the different style of investors, I should say, where you have people in their late 40s, 50s, 60s. They have kind of a different, maybe to your point, more of a centralized mindset. And then you have this emerging investor that seems to be taking over right now in their 20s, 30s, and early 40s. Do you feel that that's where the blend needs to happen for Wall Street to make sure that they capture that new investor coming into the market?
Yeah, I do agree with that. And one of the things that I noticed, you know, even in traditional finance, people make decisions on what to invest in way too late.
Yeah.
Always, once the run has already happened. So, for instance, when my time at Guggenheim, most of what we managed was asset-backed securities that
Hmm.
were non-mortgage related. And after the financial crisis, anytime you said a three-letter word, it was a four-letter word. And we tried to convince the market and even other sophisticated participants for years that these were underpriced securities. It was sort of a nascent asset class even then, but things like aircraft receivables or CLOs or any kind of industrial product that had an asset-backed security approach to it, we did really, really well in that area, but we could never convince people to buy it because they didn't understand it. And by the
Yeah.
time they understood it, the opportunity was nearly gone. I even remember trying to launch ETFs in 2011 and 2012 that held asset-backed securities as well as commercial-backed or commercial paper that's asset-backed. And the SEC wouldn't allow it. And we spent 5 years trying to launch these asset-backed security ETFs that really weren't that complicated, that really were a lot safer than regular corporate bonds. And it was hard to get regulators behind it. It's hard to get people to buy it. But when it finally caught on, it really caught on.
Yeah.
So I've been through all of this. Crypto is no different. Crypto
Interesting.
is something that a lot of people don't understand. They want to see, Bitcoin go from a penny all the way up to $100,000 before they say, "Oh, well, maybe there's something here."